Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to be doing a part 2 video of reassembling your G17. So this is going to just be a continuance from the first video I made from the disassembly piece by piece. So now I'm just going to go ahead and help you put it back together. So I know there's some difficult, challenging parts, so I'm going to just kind of walk you through step by step on that. I hope you guys enjoy. So first things first, we are going to go ahead and start with doing the hammer assembly and the hammer housing and putting it all back together. So if you recall from the one segment of my video, so you have the housing. Obviously I never ended up taking this piece out here. I left that alone, but it looks like it's almost fell out. But anyway, I have that piece, then I have another pin here to hold that hammer together, and then you have I guess I guess it's like the middle hammer. I don't really know the name for that exactly. And then this little piece with that little spring. So it's just a few pieces here. This one is going to be the trickiest part with assembling and putting this together. You kind of have to you're gonna have to use some pressure on this. Might kind of hurt your fingers, and you'll be at an advantage if you do have smaller fingers. I'll definitely mention that. So first, okay, so the thing you have to be careful with is on this hammer, you got this little wheel that likes to come out sometimes, so it'll pop loose. So definitely make sure you have the wheel, so you got like this front part of the hammer and the wheel kind of going this way. It's going to be on the left side if you're looking at it like this. Make sure you don't put it on that side. And then the spring, you can see how it sits in there. That's how it should be sitting. So in case it does fall out, just look at this as an example. So kind of want to make sure you keep your finger on the other side here to make sure that pin doesn't come out, and then kind of drop this in slowly. Let me see. Okay, so you're gonna put that in here, and then you'll see right there where that spring catches right there. It's kind of hard to see on the top right there. That spring is gonna be pressed up against that that part of the housing. And then for this actual hammer itself, you can see that there's two different sized holes. So you got this top one that's kind of more oval, and then a small oval. So you kind of want to put it into, because that the larger oval is where the rod is going to go through. So when you put it through, once you have the bottom piece in, you have the hammer just sitting there. There's this little opening. Oops, it fell out. Anyway, there's that little opening. This is where the hammer is going to be sitting. So kind of like that, you'll have that little piece kind of popping out. That's the middle hammer piece. So I had my hammer fall out. Luckily, nothing got out of place. So I'm going to go ahead and try to put that back in there. This is kind of tedious. And then once, if you keep messing up, you'll kind of start seeing, how it's supposed to be sitting. So, at one point it'll all click for you, and then it'll come through just fine. Let me see here. Okay. So I think for the most part I ended up getting it here. Okay. And then now, once you kind of have everything in there, this little spring that I'm holding here, it's going to have to go into that smaller oval that I was talking about. So this is kind of where it's very challenging. So you could try it like this, where you can start with this small little hammer, put it in first. Like I said, it's a very, very challenging part. So you put it through, and then just go ahead and make sure you don't stick it into the big oval. Stick it into the small one. But again, this is not something that's easy. It's going to take you time. I just wanted to show you guys a real-time video of how it's all done. So again, small oval, and everything has to be kind of under a little bit of pressure. So you'll kind of notice that too. Sorry, I have to take it off camera. I have to like push up against myself to get it in there. Okay, so I got that in there. This kind of decided to fall out on me. One moment. Okay. Alright, now let's try to, so it kind of looks like that right now, and then you try to slip that hammer in to to make sure. Okay, so now I see I had the big or the middle hammer, I had the spring column come off of it. So now I put it back in there. So now I have everything under pressure. So the only thing that I really need right now is that pin. So it's very difficult, you know, it's something you're definitely gonna have to hold as much as you can. Put that pin in, and once you have it at least stationary in there like that, kind of wiggle the hammer back and forth while pressing down on the pin. Because right now you're trying to make it go through like 3 pieces. So of course, you know, not all of these pieces are going to want to communicate with each other. But right now you'll kind of at least have the main part of the hammer being held, which is nice. The only other thing is just making sure you get it through the large oval in there. And then pretty much I got it through here. Make sure you line it up and then just push it through. And then now, I mean, surprisingly, it's probably the fastest I've ever gotten it in. It's such a process, you know, I'm sorry if my video angles are just not the best in this. It is very difficult to do this. And then just, okay, so put that piece in there, then that little tiny spring that comes with it, go ahead and slip that in there too. Be very careful. Again, these parts are all under a lot of, I guess, pressure. So, you know, always be careful. So here's the complete assembly of the hammer housing. So you can see this is what it's all going to look like once together. You can see that spring is in that small oval, and then you got this main rod going through the bigger oval, and then that inner hammer, that middle hammer, sits right inside the big hammer, and then you just pass that big pin right through it, and then that'll lock everything up. So that's that segment. Now we'll continue with putting the rest of the lower frame of the pistol back together. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and do the assembly of the lower frame. So starting with this, you're going to need this silver piece here. Go ahead and stick that through here like so. And then from there, the next thing is going to be this trigger assembly here. Go ahead and pop that through, and then kind of do your best to squeeze it through, and then also to keep this long piece kind of elevated in here, just so it doesn't drop down when you put this piece in. However, I did break that piece a little bit. Don't know how it happened. It probably wore out apparently. But that piece is supposed to be equal lengths on both sides. You can see on the left it's shorter, so it actually broke a little bit. But I'll still continue with the reassembly of this. So putting this piece through, you want to make sure that part's down, and then have to kind of put it on an angle a little bit, and then make sure that everything, let's see, this part's going to be probably the challenging part of getting everything in, is holding that piece right there, and then from there it should go in pretty smoothly. You can kind of see everything inside is aligned, and you can see that metal tab in the middle. You got your hammer, perfect place where it needs to be. Now, to connect the piece up with the frame itself, this part with these teeth facing downwards goes into the gun. Either side works fine. And then you have to make sure that you press this down so then it slides over it. So put it through a little bit, press the pin down, and you can see it'll sit right in the teeth there. But again, my piece is broken, so it's going to be a little bit wobbly, but it's not a major deal. I can take care of the issue. Then the next step is putting in your slide catch. So this one's a little bit tricky as well, because you have a spring that's attached and you have to kind of slip it through the side here. I'll do my best to show you guys how it's done. So you put it through just a little bit, and then this little spring is supposed to go under like so. And you can kind of see that little piece in there. So now it's kind of on a little bit of a spring there. Now, while you have everything pressed down you're going to take this pin here, the biggest one with the one side that's ribbed and the other one that's a smooth finish, and you're going to do it on this side. You're going to pop it through this side, and then it might be a little bit tough coming through. So if you actually do have maybe one of these small hammers, just lightly tap it, and then you'll see that it'll start going in for you. Okay, so there's some kind of obstruction in there. This doesn't want to go through all the way. Okay. Okay, what's going on here? Let me pull this back out. Okay, yeah, let's see what's going on, because there's an issue here. If you have some pliers too, it's kind of recommended to have on the side, just in case of situations like this. So, yeah, so that's what I figured. So it's going to be actually this piece that's kind of getting in the way. So you have to kind of look through that hole there and make sure everything is lined up perfectly before you push that pin through. And at the same time, try to make sure that that spring doesn't get through like it just did for me, and then you have to redo it again. But it's all about just hooking the spring correctly and then putting that piece through. Then at the same time, making sure that everything is lined up. So I'm just getting everything lined up on my end here. And then just push that pin through again, smooth side in first. There we go, okay. And then just, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Well, let's pull that out. Trial and error. So it could work sometimes. It's annoying, but it works that way. And everything I'm showing is real time, so obviously it's not gonna happen, you know, right away. Okay, this thing's completely come off here. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so, okay, again, had the spring come out a little too much. Okay, there we go. Now I got it hooked back. Now it's extremely important to keep it. Okay, now where did I put that pin? There we go. Okay, so it doesn't seem like it went through again. Alrighty, so I'll speed this up for you guys. Okay, so actually before you do anything else with putting that pin through, one thing I want to touch on is the small little spring that needs to go on right here in the small little piece. I will show you my best here. It needs to get looped right over in there. So until you do that piece, that's when you can go ahead and complete this assembly. So I would recommend not putting that pin through until you get that piece completed. So you might have to kind of backtrack a little bit. I might have to take this piece out to get that done. There we go. So just slip it on. Tiny pieces, it could be a little bit difficult to see what I'm doing here. But once you get it on, okay, I got it on the wrong way. That's how it should be sitting. I'm sorry if I didn't get a good angle for you on that, since that piece is a bit awkward. So go ahead now, put this back, and then again the same procedure. To get it pop back in, and then that pin. Just make sure it goes through on all ends. Okay, bam. So that's what you're looking at now, and then next steps are going to be, okay, you got the pin in, then you can go ahead and grab your hammer housing. Again, be careful of these pieces. They are under pressure, so do not lose anything. You have that there, and then you grab the arm from the trigger, and then you're going to have to stick it on through like so, and then pop that through the end housing there. So now at this point, you're going to want to go ahead and reattach or rescrew everything in. So the one baby screw that we released earlier, again, magnetic tip is preferred. If you have smaller hands, it's going to be a lot better for you with getting this put back together and taken apart. So you just screw that piece in, and then one more screw right in here. Okay. Oh, I'm just not having good luck with these screws here. What's going on? There we go. Okay, so this is what it'll look like once you get everything screwed in. Then you get this pin, push it right back through the back end here. So now you're almost done. You just have to connect this little baby spring to this little hook. That's right there. Let's see, 1 second. Safety might mess with you. Best way to do this is make sure the trigger is all the way out, and then maybe getting a really small screwdriver big enough to where you could fit the tip of the screwdriver and stretch it over onto this metal piece. This one also might take you a few tries. Okay, let's see how we can get this a little bit quicker. It might not work the best if we try to do it fast. Okay. Okay, I'll fast forward this part for you. Okay, so once you get that piece connected, just test fire, make sure everything works. Which looks like everything is good to go. So now into the next phase. That's going to be the upper portion of the pistol. So first thing that we'll start with is going to be putting in first off the blowback housing. So again, it's going to be this piece. And there was that one little spring on here, if you recall. It goes on this side on, if you're looking at it this way, on the left side. Then you put on your rear sights, like so. And then from there, just gonna go ahead and slide that piece in there. Usually there shouldn't be any issues with that piece going in. Should just be an easy slide in just like that. And then you see it, and then you are all good. Go ahead and screw this in. You might have to hold the sights down a bit since that screw connects through the blowback housing into the sights. So you'll see like that. And then now, probably the easiest thing you'll ever do on this gun, putting the inner barrel and outer barrel together. If you do have one of these ejection ports, keep in mind to also have that put in. Hopefully I can get that put back in. Okay, so being that was my mistake, I didn't look to see. So that needs to actually go in before the blowback housing. So backtracking like always, take that out, get that spring out of there, pop this pin in, or this ejection port little piece through here. And again, this is like fitting parts that don't want to fit because this is all custom made. So if you're trying to make something custom, do it at your own risk, because it is the biggest pain in the world. Because it's parts that really don't go too well together, but they do. That makes sense. Okay, so now, again, you have to put that little spring back through here. If it did come out on your end, like it did for me, put it through. Okay, you got your sights on. Now with that ejection port piece, it's not going to be coming out, so re-screw this back in. Then you have your inner and outer barrel. Go ahead and slide that through. You have this little plastic piece. Put that right at the end over here. And then your recoil spring. Try to fish it through there. Bam, that's the upper portion. So now, the final piece. You get everything together, and now go ahead and rack the hammer back on the frame, align the rails, and everything should fall through with ease. You might have to maybe pull on the tabs to get the gun on, but that is the outcome and completes the full disassembly and reassembly of the G17 GBB pistol. This is somewhat of a crude video in my opinion. All of you guys will experience your own different ways of assembling this. This was just mine. I did have my issues here and there. The whole process will take you probably 20 minutes. It really depends on how good you are with, you know, little things. You know, my fingers are pretty big, so it's kind of hard to you know, put these little springs on and everything. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you guys do like these kind of disassembly videos, let me know, and I'll see if I can work them into, you know, my genre of videos. So I hope you guys enjoy. Have a great day.